Imagine strapping into a race car, feeling the roar of the engine, and then getting busted for an illegal glove? Yep, you heard right. Joey Logano, a NASCAR heavyweight, found himself in some hot water over some fancy finger webbing designed to slice through the air like a hot knife through butter. This isn't just a tale of racing, it's a wild ride through innovation, rules, and the lengths teams will go for that checkered flag. Stay tuned to NASCAR Zone. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Joey Logano, a household name in racing and the 2022 Cup Series champion, finds himself in the spotlight, but not for reasons he'd be proud of. At the Atlanta Motor Speedway last month, Logano was caught red-handed, quite literally, wearing a left-hand driving glove that NASCAR wasn't happy about. Why? Because it was deemed illegal. Yes, you heard that right. A glove causing a commotion. But this wasn't just any glove. It had modifications that raised eyebrows and flags alike. This glove wasn't a fashion statement gone wrong, but an attempt at gaining an aerodynamic advantage. The modification in question? A bit of cloth webbing between the fingers, intended to reduce air drag by a smidge when pressed against the car's window netting. Innovative? Absolutely. Legal? Not so much. As a result, NASCAR threw the book at Logano and his Penske Ford team. The immediate fallout was losing pole position, which is a big deal if you know anything about racing. Starting at the back of the pack is no small handicap in NASCAR. And to add insult to injury, Logano was slapped with an additional pit stop penalty during the race. This pushed him a lap down, far from the glory he's accustomed to. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of what went down during that infamous Atlanta Motor Speedway qualifying session, shall we? It all started when Joey Logano, in pursuit of that sweet pole position, decided to don a glove that was, let's just say, a tad unconventional. This wasn't your run-of-the-mill driving glove. Oh no, this one had a trick up its sleeve, or more accurately, between its fingers. The glove in question featured cloth webbing stretched between each digit, a modification far from standard issue. But here's where things got sticky. NASCAR, upon getting wind, pun intended, of this creative aerodynamic ploy, was not amused. There's a fine line between innovation and rule bending, and NASCAR deemed this move a leap over that line. While there wasn't a rule explicitly banning webbed gloves, the governing body flagged it as a safety concern. The modification, they argued, could compromise the glove's integrity in protecting Logano's hands from a fire, a risk no one's keen on taking. The fallout was swift and harsh. Logano's pole position? Gone, as NASCAR decided his team had stepped out of bounds, forcing him to start the race from the very back. But that wasn't all. To really drive the point home, Logano was hit with an additional penalty. And the consequences? Well, they were as you'd expect for someone starting at such a disadvantage. Logano's race performance suffered significantly. From a potential pole position to finishing 28th, 8 laps behind the leader, the penalty turned what could have been a showcase of speed into a struggle for redemption. For a team and driver accustomed to leading the pack, this was a tough pill to swallow. Alright, let's shift gears and dive into why NASCAR was less than thrilled with Logano's modified glove and how the whole thing came to light. At the heart of NASCAR's decision to penalize Logano was a concern that's paramount in racing: safety. Now you might wonder, how could a glove, webbed or not, stir up such a fuss, especially if there wasn't a rule explicitly banning it? Well, it boils down to the integrity of racing gear in the face of danger, particularly fire. But before we continue, kindly make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for each and every update. NASCAR's beef with the glove wasn't about the aerodynamic advantage it might have provided. The real issue was the potential compromise to its safety features. Racing gloves are designed with specific materials and structures to protect drivers from fire, a very real risk in our sport. The added webbing, NASCAR argued, could weaken the glove's ability to shield Logano's hand in the event of a fire.
If you just take exactly what happened at the racetrack from a competition perspective and trying to enhance the performance on the racetrack, obviously we see time time and time again at super speedways and other events where the drivers will stick their hand out the window. That's not something that we've been all that alarmed about. When you take it to the level that you have modified one of the safety, some of the safety equipment, gloves in particular, and then using that, so the penalty at the racetrack was based off that. So we disallowed the qualifying time, put the 22 to the back, and then also had them perform a pass-through penalty under green. Now, the next step of that is when you look at safety equipment, and we look at this very hard, we look at this, take it very seriously. There's been numerous meetings over time about safety of the car and the equipment and the drivers. And when you take and alter that, that will be something that we will discuss today if it needs to have additional penalty added to that. But the reason I want to be really clear on that is that what happened at the racetrack and the way it was handled was strictly based on performance and using that device. Now, altering a SFI certified safety piece of apparel, that's a different topic that we'll discuss today.
After the whirlwind of controversy and penalties, Logano stepped up to share his take on the whole glove saga. It's not every day you see a NASCAR star embroiled in a debate over handwear, but here we were, and Logano was ready to face the music.
Roger said that he spoke to you and he was very disappointed in that. It looked very blatant to us. When the team comes to you and says, wear this glove, you just say, okay?
Yeah. That's kind of how a lot of things work. And, as a driver, you work with the team, and hey, I'm going to take a portion of responsibility of that too. Obviously, I put the glove on. It said I didn't build a glove and go make it on my own. I can't sew. Okay, so yeah, that's what it was, and we have conversations about it. What I'm proud about as a team is that that was a tough situation for us. It was hard to go through and embarrassing for sure. But the fact that we got through it and just move on and focus on the next week, and we show that we have some speed in our race car and be able to put it on the pole here. It kind of says to me is a statement type lap. So proud of that.
The thing about the glove is they say, well, these things aren't tested for fire retardant and stuff. Like, do you feel like you put yourself in a sort of unsafe position?
No, I personally did not. If I ever, I would never put myself in a situation where I feel unsafe. I have kids, I have a wife, I have a family that I care way more about than race cars. Yeah, no, I didn't feel concerned about what we did. I didn't race with it. So qualifying on speedways is pretty simple.
I talked to Brad earlier, and he said the glove likely probably doesn't have that big of a deal, but it might make people feel better. Is it more important to feel better than to worry about the glove type situation?
I didn't feel better after it, I can tell you that much. So it's directionally better. How much better? Probably nothing. That's the part that hurts the most. It isn't even worth it. So.
All right, that's pretty much it for this video. Hit that subscribe button for more videos like this one.